So this is what I looked like a year ago. Big changes. Now, I've been on a diet many times over the last 10 years, and I've tried and failed, and this time, I don't know, it worked. And so I want to talk to you about the real truth, the real things that worked and the real things that didn't. So this is going to be an honest video that hopefully will help you if you're starting a diet, in the middle of a diet, or just finishing your weight loss program. I hope this will help you. So let's start from the beginning. A year ago, I was in a much different place, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. So when I started this diet program, it really was out of a point of desperation. I was looking at the scale and I was at a place I really hadn't been before, ever. And I had gained a lot of weight through COVID. I had gained weight by retiring and I think being less active. And I just decided that it was time that I really needed to focus on myself. And I think one of the biggest motivators for me is that I had been going through a lot of severe pain with my knee. I ended up having a, you know, total knee replacement for my right knee. And after that, after I healed from that, about 6 months later, I thought, I can't continue on this path. I need to make sure that I can get myself at a really good, healthy weight. I need to make sure that I'm exercising, moving around, and that I can get through the rest of my life. I mean, I'm 65 years old. I don't want to be in the place I was a year ago when I'm 75 or 85. If I make it that long, I don't want to do it. So the first 3 months of my program last year were all about breaking old habits. Now that was a big thing for me because I had just developed so many bad habits. And a lot of those were just, how I was eating, not really exercising, watching a lot of television. I was busy, but I wasn't active. There was definitely a difference. So the first thing that I did was I really started focusing on nutrition. I initially started a program with the Mediterranean diet because I thought, so many people have talked about it. It sounds like those are the things you really need to eat for a long, healthy lifestyle. But I found that when I started the diet, for whatever reason, I was having really severe indigestion, worse than normal. And I did it for about 30 days. I actually bought some of the books and I just could not do the diet. I was feeling pretty much sick every night. And so I stopped that diet. I kept continuing to look and I found a program called Trim Healthy Mama. Now, Trim Healthy Mama doesn't really focus as much on calories. It doesn't focus as much on, eating specific foods. They kind of break down the meals based on, fats. You eat more fats in one meal and more carbohydrates in another meal. So anyway, with a lot of research, I just thought that might be a diet I'd like to try. So I really started focusing on the nutritional aspects of it, eating things that were more healthy, trying to focus on eating more vegetables, focusing on, making sure that I was getting enough protein at every meal, and just changing into a program that I thought would work for me. Now, this program may not work for everybody. You may do better on Weight Watchers, or you may do better on the Mediterranean diet. There's all kinds of wonderful diet programs out there. I think the key is just picking one and doing it. The second thing I did in that first 3 months is that I really focused on meal prepping. I wasn't leaving myself available for an issue that was going to come up at a later time. I wanted to make sure that I was always prepared. If I knew that I was going to be going somewhere to a party or to an event, I made sure to either eat ahead of time and bring healthy snacks, or make sure that I brought food to the event so that I knew what I was eating was on my program and not, completely off program. And I really started focusing on having healthy food options available when I was hungry, even in my own home. And the third thing that I did was that I really wasn't going out to eat a lot before that, but I really focused on trying to make the meals myself, choosing meals that I knew were healthy options on my program and that I liked. I tried to find recipes for foods that I really enjoyed. Like I love spaghetti. I love lasagna. I love enchiladas. I love all these delicious foods, but I don't always like the way they're made. So I found through the Trim Healthy Mama, you can have all these things. Now you have to prepare them a little bit different, obviously, but you still can have them and you still have the flavors and everything that you would get by eating that as a typical meal. So, that was a big one in my first 3 months. So, the turning point for me in those first 3 months of being on my program was that I set small goals. And when I initially lost my first 10 pounds, I thought, you know what? I can do this. I need to make sure that I'm focusing on, eating healthy food, not being hungry all the time, getting enough protein, and just following the plan. So for me, it was the small challenges that really helped me break through that first 3 months of dieting. So after I got through the first 3 months of my diet program, I don't remember exactly how much weight I'd lost, but it was like, 15, 20 pounds, something like that. I continued on, and then came the holidays. I worked well, to begin with, I started my diet in July 14th, actually, 2024. And so my first 3 months were kind of, summer. I was outside, I was exercising, summer foods, fruits, vegetables, barbecue. It was easier to stay on my diet, I think. Then by the time I was midway through my diet, we were at the holidays and it was pies and cakes and candy canes and candy corn. Anyway, it was a lot of foods that I love. And so it took a lot of planning. It took a lot of internal work to try to continue having the motivation to get through the holidays. For me, that I think was probably my hardest time being on the diet. And as I had lost weight in the beginning, the first 3 months, it was like a train. I mean, I think because I was overweight, I was losing water weight. I was losing my initial first pounds. But midway through the diet, you know what happens? Everything slows down. You start hitting plateaus. I mean, I would have a week where I dieted really hard and I'd gain a pound. Well, as I've been through this now for the last year, I realized that really doesn't mean anything. Oftentimes that might mean that you had a little bit too much salt in the meal before you weighed, or, there's your body's resettling. So I've learned to kind of work past that now over the last year. But midway through it, that was a game changer. I was very that hits you emotionally because you're really working hard. You want to see results every day, and oftentimes you don't. For me, when I hit that midway plan, I was actually, like this, and then I'd drop a little, and then I'd be like this, and then drop a little. It was very much, 2, 3 weeks, I didn't lose anything, and then I'd lose 2 or 3, 4 pounds. And that's kind of how I've lost weight the rest of the time period. So for me, the number one thing that helped me while I was going through that midway time that I was losing weight was that I focused on consistency and not perfection. Now that sounds like it's something simple or a cliche or whatever, but it wasn't. I made up my mind that I was going to be consistent. I was going to continue to do the program. I had seen results to that point, and I'm a very organized person mentally. I I really focus on trying to have a game plan and following through all kinds of different things in my life. And I decided that if I'd lost weight the first 3 or 4 months, I will continue to lose weight if I stay on the plan. So I stopped weighing every day. That was a big thing for me. And I started weighing once a week on Sundays. Now, that was kind of a game changer in and of itself because you have 7 whole days that hopefully you're going to lose something, even if it's just a couple ounces. So that helped me a lot. But I think the biggest thing was that my mindset was be consistent, stay on the program. Don't worry about, if you're losing every single pound every week. Don't focus on that. You don't have to be perfect at this. I had a goal of 60 pounds that I wanted to lose by the end of June 30th, 2025. Now, I lost it within a year, and that June 30th was actually just short of my start time, which was July 14th. So I don't know why I picked June 30th. I think back now it's kind of dumb. But anyway, I did not hit my goal on June 30th. I didn't hit it until I got to July 14th. So I don't know, go figure. So anyway, I think the big thing is focus on being consistent, stay on your program, prep your meals, and don't focus on being perfect. Don't compare yourself to those people on TikTok and YouTube that are losing 30 pounds in a month. Most likely they're going to gain it back. And lastly, I want to talk to you about the final stretch. So we talked about the beginning, the middle, and I think I'm headed towards the end. Now, I'm not there yet. I still have another 30 pounds to lose, but I'm getting there, and I know I'll hit my goal by the end of the year. Well, it may be after the end of the year. I'm not going to make myself crazy trying to hit that number. I know I'm going to do it. So in the final stretch, what worked long term are these things. So I try to follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of your food should come from nutrient-dense foods such as lean proteins, healthy vegetables, all kinds of options like that that are going to keep you full. Make sure you're eating your protein. And then 20% are the snacks that you enjoy, like pizza, popcorn, I don't know what it is you enjoy, but all those different kinds of things that are snacky. Now, I found a way to kind of work around the unhealthy snacks by still providing things I like. And that is when I make things that are like pizzas and things like that, I follow for myself. Now, I make the regular food for everybody else, but for myself, I follow recipes for those types of foods from Trim Healthy Mama program. That's the program I'm on. They have recipes for pizza. They have recipes for lasagna. They have recipes for fried chicken. I mean, I can't eat the sugar and candy, but there are even ways to work around having sweets on the program. So the 80-20 rule for me has worked really well. I think it's also important that you get plenty of sleep, that you drink plenty of water, and that you also are walking or exercising, some type of exercise. For me, in the summer, it's swimming. I swim with the grandkids every day. I play in the pool. I throw them around. I mean, I use the kids as weights because oftentimes I'm lifting them up and throwing them in the pool, or I have the baby and I'm doing, lifts above my head. So my arms are getting a really good workout. And I found that by exercising and following those simple steps, that's made a big difference. I also think for the long-term mindset, you really have to be able to think of food differently. And I think for me, it was getting rid of that mindset of all or nothing. So if I go off my diet, oh, heaven forbid, I had a piece of cake for a birthday or something like that, which I did this last weekend. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can have a small piece of cake. You can stop your diet for a meal or a day if you need to or you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. The key is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. The next day, the next hour, the next meal, whatever. You pick yourself up and you go back on your diet. So if I were to give you my top 5 takeaways from what's worked and what hasn't over this last year, number 1, find a program that works for you. Find a program that has food you like. Don't get on any old program because somebody tells you to do it and then you hate it, you can't stick to it. Find something with the food that you like, the way it's prepared, and stick with it. You'll find that you'll be able to stick with it long term if you're not always craving foods that you enjoy. Number 2, focus on breaking old patterns. You could do it. I just gave you a whole list of ways to do it, so focus on breaking those patterns. Number 3, I found consistency works. Change your mindset. Try not to be perfect. We're not perfect. We're not made to be perfect. You can strive for it, but in all honesty, if you're consistent, you're going to lose weight. Number 4, get rid of the all or nothing mindset. We just talked about that. That was a big change for me, making sure that I wasn't jumping off my diet every time I had some type of a failure. And number 5, and I think this is the most important, is give yourself grace. You give grace to other people. Why not give it to yourself? I mean, when you're dieting, that's when you probably need it the most. It's very hard to lose weight. And if people tell you it's easy, honestly, they're not telling you the truth. It's not easy. It's very difficult. You're working on emotions, you're working on cravings, mindset, failures, plateaus, all kinds of things. And you know what? If you focus on giving yourself grace when you are going through those issues, you're going to succeed. So we started off the video today with a photo of how I looked. It's not just about how you look. It's how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, how much more energy I have. It's a lot of different things. So I hope this inspired you. If you have your own story or comments that have helped you, please put them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. And I just want to thank all of you who have been so kind to support me through my channel, through my weight loss journey. And many of you have lost weight on this program as well. So congrats to all of us. So I've got a challenge. I'm going to link that video above if anyone's interested in following me through the end of the year on how we're doing on the challenge. And if you'd like to join me, please do. And if you like this content, please consider subscribing today. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring that bell for future notifications, and share this video with a friend. I'm sure most people will be very interested on how to lose weight. So thanks for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.